Good evening, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk. All right. Well, you see what the title is. We're talking about socially accepted vices and the hypocrisy that comes along with it. Because we know that there are some things in our society that are widely accepted by most people, and they're not given a second thought, such as alcohol, cigarettes, gambling, different things like that. And then we have vices that are looked upon as worse than those other vices, such as crack cocaine, heroin, flocka, meth, fentanyl, things of that nature. But are they really less dangerous just because they don't grip you like fentanyl would or heroin would or cocaine would? If anything, the drug that is more subtle and is less likely to do that to you would be the one that most people are going to lean towards. And that's why we have drugs and things, advices that are socially acceptable, but they are killing us at the same time, such as cigarettes. Cigarettes is one of the biggest killers in this nation, and yet and still we smoke every day. Um, alcohol. Alcohol kills millions of people, yet still people drink every day. They have bars and they have all of these different um, places you can go to get alcohol. And like I stated, gambling. Gambling is a vice where you can lose all your money. You can get yourself in serious trouble. Sometimes people lose their lives behind debts. And these are all things that are socially acceptable because they're considered to be not as dangerous as other things, even though they are just as dangerous, if not more dangerous. I remember writing a poem, and it was written from the perspective of a person who drinks alcohol, and they were criticizing a person who was on crack cocaine while they were in the midst of getting their alcohol, and the trials that they go through to get their alcohol. Like, if the store is closed, do you have a bootlegger house nearby? A bootlegger is somebody who sells liquor out of their house by the shots, and so you might have to go over there and you'll buy some liquor from them. Now, if you buy a pint of liquor from the bootlegger, the pint of liquor that you buy from the bootlegger is probably going to be 2 to 3 times more pricey than what it is in the store. But because of the convenience of it being in your neighborhood, usually in walking distance, then you're willing to pay that just for the convenience of not having to go as far. So there's so many different things and vices that grip us and that control us in a lot of areas and take a lot of our time, take a lot of our resources, and cause a whole lot of issues in our life that will not get the same scrutiny that things such as cocaine, things such as meth and fentanyl and all of these heavier drugs get. And I feel like that's one of the issues to this war on drugs, is that we're beginning to compartmentalize a lot of different drugs and putting them on different tiers. And when you do that, that's giving people a go ahead to try certain stuff. Marijuana is a gateway drug, but it doesn't do the same thing that uh, heroin does to you. So people be like, oh, well, if I need to try anything, then I'm going to try marijuana, and so I feel like they give you that option to either or when it comes down to what they consider drugs and things that are illegal. Then that's almost like giving you a go ahead to do it. And I feel like, now, mind you, I keep saying that I feel like, because this is my personal opinion. And so I feel like you should take away that option. If you're going to say drugs are bad, all drugs are bad. All drugs are equally harmful to you, your family, and everything. There's no putting one drug on a higher tier than the other. Any drug that you touch, any drug that you try is going to bring some type of issue, some type of complications to your life. That should be the message. But we've taken everything and broken it down into different levels and different tiers, and we've put this different threat level on everything. So if you're on marijuana, oh, that's not too bad. You smoke cigarettes, oh, that's not too bad. You drink alcohol, it's not too bad until some people get into deep alcoholism and find themselves drunk all the time. That's the extremity of that side. But somebody who just drinks socially, that's not too bad, and they're not judged about that, and they're not looked upon any type of way for being a social drinker. Um, so why do we have this discrepancy? Why is it that some things are widely accepted, even though these are things that are harmful to us and that are killing us just the same as any other thing that we would consider a hard drug? Beer is just as bad as liquor. You know, powder cocaine is just as bad as crack. And that's another thing that was always funny to me, because you had people who would consider powder cocaine the upper class drug and crack cocaine the lower class drug, but they're both the same. They both give you that same euphoric feeling. They both do the same as far as your behavior and the level of endorphins that it interjects with, and all of those different things are the same. It's just that the chemical compound is changed so that you can ingest it in a different form, but it's still the same result. And so I think that's where the hypocrisy lies. Whenever you try to make something seem more acceptable than something else that is doing the exact same thing to you, that is the hypocrisy within this war on drugs. And that's the reason why it will never be won, and it will never be even really fully addressed like it should be, because people don't have this understanding, and they refuse to understand that. And so, as long as you give people a way out, and as long as you keep this system of, oh, this drug is on a certain level, then we're going to have people who are going to who are going to experiment, especially children. Children see so much stuff and they're exposed to so many things. So if you don't give them an extreme view of everything, no, drugs period is bad. No, not, don't try this and don't try that. But a lot of us can't do that, because a lot of us are still indulging in these things ourselves. And so if we were to tell our children that, and our children are not dumb, and they find out that we're using this stuff, then that's going to kill us as a parent, and it's going to kill our credibility with our children. And so a lot of us are in a position to where we're using drugs, we're indulging in different vices. And so when we try to talk to our kids about it, they look at us crazy. Some of them will even have some of them will have the courage to speak out and call you out on your stuff. So what do we do at this point? I personally feel as though we should really reorganize and redo the drug listing, or however it's categorized, all of that stuff like that, that the law enforcement, that the judicial system as a whole utilizes as far as drugs. It's all jacked up, and it's done like that for political reasons. It's done like that for economic reasons, but it's still leaving people out in the cold. It's still causing people to get caught up and sucked up in this cycle. So there's no war on drugs whenever you're helping your supposed opposition. If I'm fighting a war, but I'm covertly pushing my enemy's agenda, then what do they call me? They call me a spy. That calls me a what do they call a spy who um act like they're for one team but they're for the other, a double agent. That's basically what you are. And so yeah, let's just be real all the way across the board. A vice is a vice is a vice. No one's vice is bigger or worse than anybody else's. Only way that you can make that determination is based on how much control that vice has over their life. Now, when that aspect comes, it doesn't matter what the vice is. Any vice can destroy your life. Any vice can destroy your family. Any vice can take everything away from you. But you can't put that determination on one vice over another. Like people will say that, oh, well, if you do heroin the first time you do it, you're hooked and your life is destroyed. No, because there are functioning addicts out here every day who are doing heroin and they still maintaining whatever lifestyle that they choose to operate in. Maybe a lower lifestyle because most of their money is taken up by their vice, but yet still they're still maintaining. So that point is invalid. But man, this it man, I lost my train of thought right there real quick. So let me go back a little bit and talk a little bit more about the damage that vices really do to the lives of others because that's along the vein of where I was headed anyway. So drugs versus gambling. What is the differences? Well, with drugs, you're going to do the same thing that you would do with gambling. You're going to give in to your inhibitions. You're going to want to satisfy your flesh and that desire to get that rush. That's what a lot of people are chasing, that rush. So whether it's drugs or whether it's gambling, then you're chasing that feeling of satisfaction, that feeling of achievement. That's what you're chasing. And in drugs, a lot of times you're escaping the reality of your life that you're living because let's see you may see yourself as inadequate or whatever the case may be that leads you to doing that drugs, but you're doing that in a sense of trying to put a band-aid on whatever wound you have. Um, and when we do these things, no matter what drug or no matter what vice we use to do that, we're still hurting ourselves. We're still hurting others. We're still causing a lot of tension within our relationships and things like that because we are being controlled by something that we indulge in and that we get pleasure out of. So when you start to break things down like that, it really doesn't matter what vice it is, and you strip away all of the levels that so-called vices are placed on as far as being a hard drug or what is the opposite of a hard drug? A soft drug? What is a soft drug? A drug is a drug, and it's going to have some adverse effects on your physical body, sometimes your mental and emotional state as well. So trying to make light of it is hurting a lot of people. And I feel like we need to correct this and we need to get out of this mindset of putting one vice over another and having one acceptable and one not acceptable. This is the hypocrisy that's going to keep people drinking, that's going to keep people doing drugs and everything else because they see the hypocrisy in the system that claims to fight against it, yet they're working with it at the same time. Yo, this is your boy D Mac, man. That's all I really wanted to say about that. I hope I did it some justice. And you know what I say, man. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.